the recording. Okay. Let me just share my screen and then we can get started. Let me know if you all can see my screen. Hey, I hope my screen is visible.
Yeah, it is there. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, thanks. Cool. So I think just this is like a context, this is a closed door showcase to and have taken the liberty of just sharing the invite to only the NGOs that are that I know are using Jugalbandi and have tried some AI experiments before. So thanks for joining. And this is a showcase to show like a early peek into what we have integrated to overcome some of the problems that we were facing with Jugalbandi integration. So just some features and benefits of OpenAI file search, which is nothing but the retrieval augmented generation, a system for retrieval augmented generation. So just I'll be going over what the present ecosystem in Glyphic is like. Where does this fit in? Where does this OpenAI file search functionality fit in? I'll also share some of the highlights, like the feedback that we have got on the Jugalbandi trials and how this is kind of addressing those inputs. We'll do a quick demo of how it will work, and then then we can open the space for question and question answer, and then we can also I'll be happy to kind of figure out if we can set up some experiments or collaborate in next pilots that you may decide to run. So just at a high level, this is what the LLM services in Glyphic look like at the moment. So there are two main factions. One is so we have the Jugalbandi route, and Jugalbandi mainly enables retrieval augmented generation. So you provide your knowledge documents to the Jugalbandi platform, and then we can generate text-based responses or voice-based question and answer using the Jugalbandi API. So I think all of you are aware of this one. What we have also meanwhile over the last 2-3 months built out is we can directly we can directly send our question and answer to the chat GPT using OpenAI's API. So this is the first one. So no knowledge base, and only with a prompt and a question you can send directly to a GPT model and get the response back. So then again, so the first one in the OpenAI, it's basically asking, getting a response directly from a GPT models from its own knowledge of whatever it is trained on, GPT 3.5, 4, 4, or whatever. Second interesting thing we did was also the integrate integrate vision. So GPT-4 vision preview or GPT-4o. So you can send images that you get from your beneficiaries. You can send that image, and you can send a prompt, and then with this we can do some interesting things. So this is the second thing. And the third, the one which we are introducing today, is how we can do retrieval augmented generation using the OpenAI's assistant. So essentially, the third one in this in OpenAI is basically a replacement, or let's say like a version 2 of what Jugalbandi, what we are getting through Jugalbandi at the moment. Before I proceed, any questions on this one? You can raise your hand at any time, or just if no questions, then I'll go ahead.
Just confirming, Tejas, you said the third, the RAG framework is available, but the first one not, the ChatGPT and the image response.
Yeah, all of these are available in Glyphic right now.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Great. Cool. So this is, just quick learnings from Jugalbandi trials that we have had, and these are just some of the orgs that have been using it for the longest time. Bandhu, Sneha, the TAP, the Apprentice Project, Udyam, Vedis Foundation. So some of your, most of your other orgs are also using it, but these are some learnings we have got from here. So just the high level context is Jugalbandi is a free service and it has been offered only for prototyping purposes. So they have explicitly mentioned that this is not for scale deployments. This is only for you, for any organization, any team, or any any NGO to figure out, prototype quickly without having to spend a lot of money on developing something. So it was a free service. It was meant for prototyping only, and it was not designed for scale deployments because they have in built some rate limits, so that after a certain point you will not be able to use it. And it's because it is free, and obviously like there are some cases where like someone can, because it's a free service, someone can deploy it to a large number of people, and in which case the entire cost will have to be borne by them. So they've been kind enough to allow a lot of organizations to use in prototyping and experimenting. One tech limitation was that conversational memory was not supported. So it was always like you send one question, you get an answer back, and then you have to send like the next question. You have to again, like basically it's like one question, one answer. Inherently in Jugalbandi by design, they were not, they decided to not go ahead by supporting the conversational memory. Then if you had to if you wanted to use conversational memory, then you had to build something more on top of Jugalbandi, but essentially Jugalbandi by itself did not support conversational memory. And the last point, and which is like the most pertinent point in this case, is they have communicated to us that in the medium term, short to medium term, they are likely going to close this service, just because it'll be almost like an year since they have launched this thing, and they have footed the bill for long enough time, and they're also making a new version of that. So they are introducing something called Jugalbandi Manager and Jugalbandi Studio, which they have taken from these learnings, and which we'll see if it helps in Glyphic. But for now, we are not sure about that. So with this as like the context and backdrop, we thought of and there are these after some of your organizations have, especially like Sneha, TAP, Udyam, since you have worked very closely with them. So there was a important need for conversational memory, and also like making sure that the service is up 100% of the times. There is no a possible reason that it's down, and if it's down, then we are able to immediately bring back up, which was becoming a problem with Jugalbandi. So that's why we figured out, we were trying to see what helps, what can we do to fill in that gap. So through our experiments, we have finalized on something called as OpenAI's file search APIs. So essentially you can see from the diagram, essentially any organization, they can have like access to, they can create an organization OpenAI platform. This gives them access to a lot of OpenAI's APIs. One of the things is called as assistants API. So you can create assistants for doing file search, for code completions, or and few other things like that. So file search is something that we can use, which is very similar to Jugalbandi. So essentially what happens, if you observe the diagram, if you observe the top left, bottom left side, your files, whatever NGOs, knowledge bases, and whatever documents that are there, that we will upload into OpenAI's vector database. And then so we'll upload it to vector database, and we'll generate something called as assistant ID. This assistant ID is something that can be used in a Glyphic flow. Just like how you use Jugalbandi webhook, you will be able to use a webhook which calls this OpenAI assistant with your question, and you'll be able to get the response, then generate the response back to the user. For now, the important thing is like this is like we wanted to put this out really fast. So and also so right now NGOs don't need to have an OpenAI account. Project Tech for Dev and Glyphic is, we have created an account. We have also done some work to acquire some credits from acquire some free credits from OpenAI, and so that we can support all the NGOs in trying this out without having the without having to like without having the hurdle of recharging or like spending more money on this thing. So Glyphic and Project Tech for Dev is footing the bill in the short term, and the idea is to help create more evidence for use of LLMs in social impact, so that within a couple of months or as and when we start using it, we are able to create more evidence and unlock more grants so that more NGOs can continue to use LLM features. I will quickly do a quick demo of how this thing looks like. But before I go ahead, does anyone have any questions? Also, if I'm going too fast, please inform me.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm from Sneha. So now that you're moving to OpenAI, will we seamlessly shift to the OpenAI?
Yeah. We can do that. Like, so your present flows, like nothing will change for your like the audience that you're working with. We can just make a tiny switch and everything else should remain the same.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Then I'll quickly go ahead and I'll take Sneha's example only to demonstrate. Look, and now I'll quickly do a live demo, and these are like basically like 4 steps right now we can do. So first step is creating an OpenAI file search assistant and adding a system prompt. Then we upload the documents to that assistant. We get the assistant ID from that, and the step 1, 2, 3, it all happens in the OpenAI's playground. And then step 4, we utilize the assistant ID and the Glyphic flow. So I'll show you how you can do this thing. So essentially, there is there is something called as platform.openai.com. So if you go to platform.openai.com, you can log in using any of your Gmail or email or something, and then basically this is the place where you can do. There are a lot of different APIs that you can use. So this is more like a developers portal for using OpenAI. ChatGPT is something that we use as lay people. Platform.openai.com is some more from a developer perspective. Within this thing, there is something called as assistant. So if you go to the dashboard, then here you can there's something called as playground. So here you can kind of like play around with these different things. But within this thing, there is within playground, one of the features is called as assistance. So essentially, assistance is a way for us to create, give it like more contextual information, or give it, some more developer tools, and then get some, like very specific responses. So I'll just show you how we can create an assistant for and give it a knowledge base that is your contextual knowledge base, and then use that in Glyphic. So let's say we just do create. For now, we'll just give it this name, Sneha Diri 2, just because I have some information from Sneha. So this is the prompt we had used for Sneha. So in this instruction, you give it the instruction that it has to always keep in mind before answering. So basically, just like a prompt, like, okay, your name is Sneha Didi, you're a chatbot who's an empathetic responder. This is how you should answer in 5 sentences, answer it so again, like all the details, and like you ground the LLM in, okay, always keeping this instructions in mind before it answers. You can select from all these different models. We'll just go with GPT-4o because it is the latest model. And then the important step is like, okay, there is something called as file search. So you enable this file search, and you can see what it says. Like this enables assistant with your knowledge base, and whatever you upload is, and then it'll be answered from there. So again, so it's as simple as just adding this files. Yeah, so I just selected all these files that I have from Sneha team, and it gets uploaded. And now this is attached to the Sneha Didi, this assistant that I've created. Just one more thing that there is something called as temperature. So you can vary the temperature and something called as top P rating. So you don't have to worry about top P rating, but temperature is, you can imagine the creativity that the LLM uses to generate the answer. So the more we bring it closer to 0, the more deterministic the answer becomes, which means if you ask the same question repeatedly again and again, it will likely give the same answer again and again if this temperature is closer to 0. So we have to set the temperature limit to as close to 0 as possible. And yeah, so the assistant is ready at this point. You can use this in Playground, but essentially like we need to use this assistant ID. So this assistant ID, which is over here, ASTT.WTS9M, whatever. So this is the main thing that we will use in your Glific flows. So we got this, we will copy this from this, yeah, from the Playground. Essentially at this point, we have done step 1, 2, 3. And now it's just about the step 4, which is using this in the Glific Playground. Sorry, in the Glific Flow Editor. Before I go ahead, any questions on the Playground? Anything that?
I have a question. This is
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in the when you went to file search, it said that the assistant decides when to use the file or something like that. So, what does that actually mean? Like, does it depend on the type of prompt given?
Yeah, exactly. So you can imagine like, okay, I can give it all the information about, let's say, like pregnancy and whatever, like, like, let's say pregnancy and menstruation. But then if I decide to, if in the prompt I have not given any, like any, like guideline that do not answer if it isn't from here, like if it isn't related to pregnancy or menstruation topic, then it, like just because it wants to answer all the questions, it might just not, it might determine that this question does not relate to the file search, and I mean for files provided, and it can use like the GPT's whatever knowledge that it already has, like whatever training data set it has been trained on. It might generate an answer from there also. So that's why this instruction thing is important. To like, if you want to make sure that, okay, you're answering only from the knowledge base, then you provide explicit instructions over here.
Got it. Thanks. And I can see, yeah, it says if the answer is not found, then.
Yeah. So this is like a prompt engineering 101, where we kind of like put guardrails on to handle these cases. Yeah. Essentially that's what it is. Yeah. So cool. So essentially, so now we take this assistant ID, and in the Glyphic flow editor, essentially, so this is a very simple flow just to kind of demonstrate. We get a question, or we get a prompt from, we get a query from the user. This query is saved as question. In the webhook, we go to function call, and we use this function called file search -GPT. So we have this file search -GPT, we give it a result name, and in function body, we just have to give two simple things. One is question. Question is basically the question the user has asked, and assistant ID, which is the assistant ID that we have created over there. So we'll just paste that over here. And the result, the response will come as results dot the webhook name you have given, which is the file search over here, and dot message. So this will just print the response that we get from the assistant. And in the subsequent question, so like, let's say, like, like I didn't, like, this is a very bad user experience, but just for demonstration purpose, when we make a subsequent, like, let's say, like, we assume that after the answer, the user is going to ask a question in this case. So we have saved that as question number 2. And over here, all we have, we pass the question number 2, and we pass another another parameter called thread underscore ID, and we give it this previous webhook's name, and we give thread underscore ID over here, and the same assistant ID remains the same. So what this allows us to do is, since so passing this thread ID of the previous webhook, it provides to the assistant that, okay, this is continuation of the previous thread, and then we can then recursively just go in loop of the second webhook, and the thread ID will keep getting updated with the updated like this thing conversation. So I'll do a quick preview. Okay, let me just quickly do this thing. Publish preview. Okay, so since I have a lot of Sneha Didi's knowledge base, so I'll ask, मैं मुझे 3 महीने का बच्चा है, मैं उसे क्या करना दूँ? So I have, as you can see, I've asked the question in English. Okay, let me just reload this thing. It's a classic case of technology not working when you want it to. Okay. Let me try using my actual WhatsApp, just so that if we have a demo and it isn't a proper failure. So I'm just looking for the file search is the keyword, and for 86570. Okay. Okay, so it's asking me to ask a question. Yeah, so let's say I ask, मेरा 6 महीने का बच्चा है. I've not given it a lot of context. Let's see what we get in response. So आपका सवाल क्या है कि आपको 6 महीने के बच्चे के लिए कुछ स्पेसिफिक जानकारी चाहिए. मैं उसे क्या खाना दूँ? So earlier, the next question could not, in Jugalbandi, could not retain the memory of the previous question. Hopefully in this case, in this case, it will remember that मैं उसे क्यों खाना दूँ? In उसे I'm talking about 6 महीने का बच्चा. It takes a bit of time, like the time lag is something we still can't solve. But yeah, again, so आपके 6 महीने के बच्चे के लिए आपको स्तनपान के साथ साथ कुछ और खाना भी देना चाहिए, and it is giving it based on the these things that we have from the files that we have uploaded in Sneha's use case. Let's see if I can ask another question. मैं उसे कौन सा Okay, let's see. I mean, let me just try, just for the sake of demo. उसे कौन सा टीका देना है? So I'm just typing it in Hindi. Hopefully I should get an answer back in Hindi. Like typed Hindi. Okay, so this didn't work, probably because there was like more information in these two languages. But in our previous thing, yeah, we have tried. But yeah, like if so, so the question, like I think this thing we have given is generate answer in the language that matches the language of the question. So in this case, I'm assuming there was more language in this format, so it answered in this one. But essentially, if we tried again from scratch, we might get answer in Hindi also. And we have done this in demo. But yeah, as you can see, like here, it clearly understood the context of those previous 2, 3 questions, and it has answered for a baby of 6 months. Yeah, I'm open for any questions like at this point before I go ahead. Gaurav, you have a question?
Hey, hey Tejas, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to know about the source references. Is that something that will be sent to users, or is there a way to turn that off?
Yeah, we can turn this off. It is possible to turn this off. We'll have to write some code in the backend for this thing. But yeah, we essentially we can. It's possible to turn this off.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Uh,
Tejas, I have a quick question.
yeah.
So in flows, at least for Sneha, most of it is based on voice related. Can you talk
Yeah.
a little bit about like the differences? I'm not sure if I missed it. I had my connection got cut off.
Yeah.
Have we talked about differences in the way Jugalbandi operates versus the new system will work for voice based querying?
Yeah. No, so at present, in the present, this one, like right now, immediately, voice is not available in file search. We are bringing it in maybe in the next 2 weeks, but we're replicating exactly what Jugalbandi does. So Jugalbandi takes a voice note, it translates it using Bhashini from whichever Indic language it is into English. Then it uses that to generate a response, and then it translates back the English response from a RAG model into the source voice note of the source language. So we will replicate the exact same thing, and the middle layer of RAG will be using OpenAI file search, and the top of like the first and last step of voice notes will be using Bhashini. We'll use Bhashini to convert first voice to text, and then just generated text to back to voice. So exact same thing, whatever Jugalbandi is doing, we'll do the same thing. But at present, as of today, we don't have, like, we can't use OpenAI file search with voice notes. We'll bring this in the next 2 weeks, by the end of this month. That's our aim. Like, that's the next slide that I was going to go on. Is that clear? Sorry,
And that means by end of this month, you can literally translate any flow that was on Jugalbandi into
Yeah.
the OpenAI file search.
Yeah.
And
So
Bhashini setup on our end.
Yeah. So like entire of Sneha's use case, we can do we can plug out Jugalbandi, and we can plug in like the 2 new webhooks that we will have, which are basically generating the responses from OpenAI file search.
And what's the level of effort involved for modifying any flows or anything, or is Glific going to do that, or is it seamless?
It's not like, okay, it is not that heavy on effort. Like Glific can definitely do it for Sneha, because we had also initially set up the flows. So it's just about replacing this node and changing the webhook params. So just give me a minute. Yeah, so essentially it's not a lot. So like it is like maybe like a half an hour to 45 minutes job. Essentially, like the flow of Sneha also looks exactly the same. Instead of this webhook, we use like this Jugalbandi, this thing. And instead of like function body, there are 2, 3 more parameters that we are passing. But everything else, like essentially like rest of the things will be same. We'll just have to like switch the params that we are passing in this webhooks. That's it.
Thanks, Tejas.
Yeah, welcome.
Hey Tejas, I have a question.
Yeah.
So, am I correct in understanding that image search is possible now?
Yeah.
Even with this conversation memory? And how reliable would you say it is to use right now?
Yeah, sorry, image search is different from conversation memory. So as you can see, like this is the second bit over here. You can see my screen, right?
Yeah, I can see it.
So it's a different webhook. Like, so image search is basically like you can create, like basically you can create a flow. You can use parse GPT vision image, and in the flow you can pass, like, okay, you can create a prompt, and you can pass the image that a user is sharing, and yeah, you can get a response. In this case, like there will be no conversational memory. But if you have if you have some use case that you might want to explore, like our first thing is maybe you can try with this thing. If you still think there's a need of passing images with the conversational memory, we can figure out how to bring that in. Overall, at this moment, we are fairly confident. We did a pilot with INREM, and they found that it is doing very good job at recognizing, in their use case. So in their use case, okay, I'll pause before I go ahead. Did that help?
That helped, yes. Makes sense.
So it's a separate, how do you say, like it's a separate feature.
Understood.
It's not linked to file search, in long story short. But I can share with you like the blog, regarding their pilot. And if you have any, how do you say, like a experiment or prototype that you might want to try, we are open to kind of figuring it out.
Yeah,
But right now, I think what we have should work to get like the first thing off the ground.
got it. Makes sense. Thanks for the demo, Tejas. It was really fun to see the conversation memory in action.
Great. So essentially, like I think the quick roadmap is, yes, like Jugalbandi does support like voice notes, input and output. So that's definitely like on our roadmap. We want to do this within the end of the month. So that like by next like by the next second week of next month, like at any like if anyone wants to make like large scale deployments of their chatbots, like it is already available. Then obviously right now the limitation is like you have to collaborate with the Glific team. So you have to share the knowledge base to us, and we'll upload it, and then we'll give you the assistant ID. But eventually we can decentralize the ability to create and modify assistants, so you all can possibly like either create your own like either add your own OpenAI assistants and then things like that. And then based on if there's any needs emerging, we can figure out like a way to dynamically go on adding to your knowledge base, like dynamically, so that you don't have to like always add like manually go and add it. Maybe there's a code which kind of like takes in your new knowledge base and it keeps updating in the same assistant. But yeah, the point 2 and 3 are slightly medium term. The shortest term is this one. Also, since we are also like thinking about like, sorry, replacing Jugalbandi. So like one common question that that might arise in your minds is like, okay, how does it fare against Jugalbandi? So we did. Oh yeah, sorry, go ahead. Gaurav, go ahead.
Hey, sorry, man. Just trying to ask about the last slide. The
Yeah.
voice part is going to be you done with the help of Bhashini.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. So we did like Jugalbandi versus OpenAI file search. Like we simulated some responses, like for two cases. Like one is from Sneha and one is from Tap. So Sneha, basically we had a list of questions and answers that we got from Jugalbandi, and we took like a small list of those questions and we ran it through same knowledge base, same prompt, and we ran it through OpenAI file search, and we gave the Sneha team to rate these responses. Okay, which one is better, model 1 or model 2? We tried to keep it unbiased so that Sneha team did not know which answer was from which model. Was A one from Jugalbandi or one from two from OpenAI File Search? They didn't know this, and they rated. So we asked about like 50 questions. We asked them to rate about 50 questions, and like in 50% of the time they rated OpenAI File Search responses were better, because it gave a more reasoning behind why it is giving this answer, and that was the qualitative point they told me. Rest 20% times it was equal, and Jugalbandi was better for the 30% of the times. Just by, it's a qualitative measure of, okay, how was the answer shared. So this we felt was a good sign. And also I think with the with TAPS use case, TAPS use case is just categorizing the query of the user into one of the 5 categories that they have. So in that case also, like we asked TAP to specifically give us like the cases where Jugalbandi got it absolutely wrong. 50% of those cases, 50% cases which were got right by Jugalbandi. So like we had this distribution of 27 queries that were categorized wrongly and 26 queries that were categorized correct by Jugalbandi. And we ran the same queries, same prompt and same everything through file search, and we saw that, okay, 50 of those were categorized correctly, and 3 were categorized wrong. So overall, this feels like a good sign to switch over from, like, not have to worry about the accuracy and things like that, and the integration can be made, and most likely we are going to get better responses and results. Yeah, before I go ahead, any questions on that? Cool, then I'll maybe, like, I'll just close this, like when we have come towards the end. So to use it right now, like I think the step 1 has to be that like you will have to reach out to Glific team, like you'll have to reach out to us, share the use case or share the knowledge files that you want to start using it for. We can help you to create a good prompt. We have got some practice with it now. We'll create the assistant and we'll share the assistant ID with you. You can then use it. You can then use assistant ID in your flows. I think the main reason why right now we are, like we are able to support all these things. Like one is, if the need for you to share it is because like this we can foot the bill for, like, let's say at least like next 2-3 months. Potentially beyond that also, if we are able to put together enough feedback or report, reports, so that we can share how OpenAI's GPT models are helping the development sector, and then we can write some proposal or get some grants from them to continue to give credits to Glific team. Yeah, essentially that's the overview. My last point is, if you're thinking about using this thing, then please reach out and we'll be happy to kind of like help you unlock some of the use cases. Yeah, happy to take any questions.
Tejas, I am Vanessa. I have a quick question. So we're
Yeah.
already on the Glyphic platform. Do we need to still share it us as a request for a use case, or will you automatically include us?
Yeah, no. So for Sneha, though, we have created already. So I can connect with Vinod or Snehal, and I can like we can connect with, like we can connect and we can just figure out, okay, how and when we can transition
Okay.
to using this thing.
Oh, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah. Yeah, Gaurav, go ahead.
Hey Tejas, so definitely I just want to first of all say thanks that I think this file search and directly connecting it via Glyphic and with the entire Jugalbandi deprecation, this is going to be super helpful. So thanks a lot for that. I have a question, which is, now that we are directly going to use OpenAI's file search, which is basically their own RAG system.
Yeah.
Right? Is there any advantage for any of the NGOs to build a RAG of their own, or is there any advantage of having a custom RAG over, let's say, OpenAI's file search?
No, there's no advantage at all in building anything by NGOs like tech like that. We spent a lot of time trying to build a RAG model of our own, and we could not get it right, and it was kind of like didn't work out at all. So for an NGO, I would definitely recommend that please don't do that. Like,
Got
yeah.
it. Like, even if there's nothing that can actually help us gain any appreciable benefits of having our own RAG.
Yeah.
Chick.
I don't see any, like maybe, like, so the potential use cases are like, okay, we figure out a way to fine tune specifically to your this thing. Like after RAG, like the next step is like fine tuning a model to give the kind of responses that, that you, that are more like your narrative of the thing, or like, so the next step is fine tuning, but I wouldn't say like there's no point building RAG for
Un-
NGO by
un-
NGO.
Understood. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Gaurav, just a quick question on my end. Are you seeing a use case on your end that you feel like the currently available RAGs are not working in terms of like OpenAI or something that you see is not working as well as you expect?
So Vinod, I do see there are use cases, but I see it more from the model perspective. Like for example, I was also talking to Tejas the other day that few of the questions are getting answered by 4 correctly or better than let's say GPT 3.5, or let's say something like Tejas just gave it in the prompt that hey, answer in the same language that the query was asked in is better adhere to in 4 versus 3.5. So I was just trying to understand, because at a later point of time we might want to bring everything to 3.5 because of the cost constraints. So that's one of the reasons I was trying to understand, is there anything that can like having a custom RAG would really help us?
Right. No, custom RAG won't solve your problems, Gaurav. Like from whatever I know about your problems, like problem statements, like custom RAG is definitely not the solution.
Okay.
But like a combination of like what we are using, let's say like for 3.5, like you have an assistant with 3.5 for doing one task. You have another assistant with GPT 4.0 for doing another task, and like layering it together like that. That can be figured out, but like from whatever I am able to figure out about your problem statement, and not like building a custom RAG won't help.
Right. Got it.
Yeah, and also like if you just think about it, like OpenAI is like the best in AI. So like what else can anyone like probably do that will be any better than like the masters of AI themselves? So like not to say
I
that.
wouldn't go that far. They just there's definitely use cases for custom RAGs, but
Yeah, for sure. Like let's say like if you don't want your organization data to get out and things like that. But let's say mostly for all NGO use case purposes, I mean, yeah, like, I mean, okay, so those are my thoughts, and I can you can disagree with my opinion.
Yeah. Vinod, did you have anything, any other opinion or on whatever the problem statements are shared?
no, I wouldn't discount custom RAGs, but I would probably say that you should experiment with OpenAI, using the prompts, kind of reworking them, rejiggering them, and also modifying your documentation, maybe augmenting your documentation in the prompts before you mess around with a custom RAG. But again, I think cost-wise, the big thing will be that over time this is going to decrease, and it's already going down that way, right? So are you solving a problem that's not even going to be there, or maybe you won't feel it that much in the next 3 months or the next 6 months? So even if we look at it now, GPT 4.0 is cheaper than what GPT 4 Turbo was just a little while back.
Right.
So over time, you're going to start seeing that. And then in that case, if you were to go down that path, right, then maybe at a certain point would make sense if you are also at scale at that point and you still feel that it's expensive. But I don't think any of our users I would consider as being at scale. You're probably better off paying the token cost right now. And then if you really hit that level of scale, then it's worth thinking about, do I tune or not? But I think before you hit that, it might be just overkill. And it's also fast to experiment, right? With OpenAI, you can easily
Right.
experiment what your things are very quickly. Even for a layperson, we can do it very quickly. So I think that way, I feel like I wouldn't mess with it right now. Probably see it, and then if it makes sense at some point, you worry about it, but not right now.
Got it. Makes sense. Thank you, Vinod.
Yeah. And like, by the way, the scale here is like, you know, like, and I was just researching on how many, you know, like when does it make sense to start using self-hosted, you know, like LLM models, like open source self-hosted LLM models. And the scale, like from my research, it makes sense only if you're hitting like in the range of more than 10,000 queries per day. And only in that case, like the cost benefit of self-hosting a model and doing those kind of things makes sense. Otherwise, it's more cost efficient to just use GPT models or some other service. Again, this is from my research, it could be wrong. Disclaimer. Okay, thank you all. I think if just like maybe another minute or so, if anyone else has any other questions, if not, I'll share these things. If any of you are like planning to, especially like intersection or FMCH, I know you are trying to do Hak Darshak, Antarang, if you're planning to do something with AI or LLM, like, and with the present Jugalbandi, just maybe like give, you know, like just connect with us once. The documentation is already there. But yeah, like just share the document and like share your knowledge base, and we can kind of like put together something for you.
Yeah, so Tejas, we might get in touch with you for that, but just wanted to ask, so when does this move beyond prototyping? If we have, say, a user base of 1,000 users.
You can use it right now also.
All
We
right.
Yeah. So we are not in prototyping stage. We are you know, like
Okay.
we are open to kind of like supporting it all the way. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Welcome. Yeah. Okay. All right then. If there's no other questions, then we'll yeah, end this meeting. Thank you all so much for joining, and have a good day.
Thank you, Tejas. This was very helpful.
You're welcome, Suchi. Yeah. Bye, folks. We'll close the meeting.
Thanks, Tejas. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.